Corsair, Fractal Design, Lee & Lee. These are some of the best-selling PC case makers in today's market. However, there's another company that I think all PC gamers should be looking out for. So if you've got $100 to spend and you're considering something like Corsair's 4000D or Lee & Lee's O11 Dynamic, stick around because I'm about to change your mind. Allow me to introduce you to the Montech Sky 2. The case starts at $99, but what kind of features do you get for your money? It comes with tempered glass on the side and front, mesh paneling all around for great airflow, and it comes with 4 addressable RGB fans pre-installed. Oh, did I forget to mention there's an RGB and fan controller to run all of them with room to add 2 more. The Sky 2 comes in 3 flavors. They've got black, white, and blue. You heard me, blue. Prices are $100, $106, and $119. I grabbed the white model because it matched the theme of the build I wanted to put together. For all my case reviews, I like to do a complete walk around. So let's start with the view window side. This is accessed by loosening 2 thumb screws and pulling the side glass back, up, and away. The guide channel keeps it from falling off. The Sky 2 fits ATX, Micro ATX, and Mini ITX size motherboards. It has 2 cable pass-throughs at the top, 2 along the side with rubber grommets, and 2 along the bottom as well. Clearances in the Sky 2 are very generous. It accommodates up to a 168mm CPU tower cooler, a 210mm long power supply, and up to 400mm long GPUs. Are there even any 400mm GPUs out there? The motherboard tray has a sweet Montech logo, and underneath that is 2 pre-installed RX 120 ARGB fans. These are 120mm in case you didn't figure that out. They're also recessed in the motherboard tray to allow more clearance for GPUs, cable routing, and AIOs. AIO support in this location is only up to 240mm, and if you have a radiator that's too thick, it could interfere with GPUs over 180mm in length. Now, Montech has 2 different types of fans included with the case. They have their standard fans, which are the AX120s. That's normal operation where it pulls the airflow straight out the back of the case or straight up through the top. Then they have their RX version of fans. That's a reverse direction fan blade. So you can still view it beautifully from the front with the ARGB ring. However, it's gonna actually pull air from underneath and push it up into the case, or push it from the back into the case as well. And you'll still get that awesome looking aesthetic. Make sure you pay attention to the airflow direction when picking up fans for your own case. I'll leave links below in the description to make it easier for you. The basement has some unique features. It's ventilated on both the top and side to allow airflow directly to the GPU. It has mounting holes for 2 120mm fans, and Montech includes one that you'll need to install yourself. There's also a rubber grommet cable pass-through for GPU power. The front is quite simple. It's a panel of glass that can be removed without tools simply by taking off the top mesh panel, which is removed with a single thumb screw. You loosen the screw, pull the panel back, and lift it away. Then you push up on the front glass panel to remove that. I guess I might as well talk about the top while I'm up there. The top section accommodates 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans. If you want to use a liquid cooler, you can run up to a 280mm or 360mm cooler. For the top I/O support, you have a power button, power light, hard drive status light, LED button, USB 3.0 Type A, separate headphone and microphone jacks, another USB 3.0 Type A, and even a USB Type C connector. I'm going to warn you, make sure that your motherboard supports those type of connections before you buy. A lot of people don't notice that, and then they can't plug it into their motherboard, and they've got an unusable port on their case. Moving over to the cable management side, there is so much going on here. I'll address the elephant in the room first. Montech has included a very capable ARGB and fan controller to tidy everything up. It has up to 6 slots for fan and RGB control. The fan connections are set up for 4-pin PWM control, and in fact, all the included fans have PWM connectors. The controller is powered with a SATA connector, which you'll plug into your power supply. You've got a large motherboard access hole for upgrades, so you don't need to remove the motherboard later. Montech has included a new cable channel with 3 Velcro strips to make cable management easier than ever. The cable pass-throughs are beveled to eliminate wire chafing. They also include a small little hole at the top left. I'm guessing this is for liquid cooling cables too. Nice touch. There are some generous storage options too. They have two 2.5-inch mounts on the motherboard tray and an additional 2.5-inch mount on top of the 2-slot 3.5-inch cage in the bottom. So you have a total of 5 storage slots, and the hard drive tray can be completely removed in case you need more room for cable management. The back isn't too complicated. It has your power supply mounting holes, 7 PCI expansion slot covers, which are removed using a screwdriver, and it comes with a pre-installed AX120 fan. Also, the rear fan mount is only made for 120mm fans. No 140 support in this case. Okay, let's talk about my build notes. The first important note that I should give you is using a top-mounted AIO, especially a 360mm, gives you 0 clearance. This thing is pushed all the way up to the motherboard. So what I had to do was install the motherboard, plug all my connections in, then install the AIO. Because if you wait till afterwards, you're gonna have a heck of a time trying to get those plugs in. It's almost impossible. Also, another tip, make sure you install the bottom fans after plugging everything into the bottom of the motherboard. I think that's why they left it out, so that you can get your motherboard in, get everything plugged in, and then install your fans. And the last thing I'm gonna tell you is motherboard preference matters. It really matters in every case that you buy, but in this one, specifically I noticed because I'm using this NZXT motherboard, my front panel connectors are all on the left side facing towards the front of the case. Normally connectors face outwards towards the side glass. This one faces the front of the case. So you have to bring your connectors in and then they have to make a 90-degree to go into the side of the motherboard. It was impossible for me to plug them in because it's got that offset channel cable pass through. I didn't have any room. I would have had to really bring them around and have them go in front of the other fans. So I just left them unplugged for this build just for the aesthetics. But that's something you should keep in mind. Always look at where your connections are gonna go into the motherboards, where they're gonna need to come out on your case. Just kind of plan out the build before just throwing parts at it, because it can turn into a bad time. Now there's something else that I like to cover in these videos, and it's things that I liked and things I didn't like about the build process, just to give you a more in-depth look at the case. First, I'm gonna start with the positives, and there's actually a lot of them. The Sky 2 has amazing style, great airflow, and comes with 4 included RGB ring fans for a very reasonable $100 price tag. They also give you tons of space. You can fit up to a 400mm long GPU and a 360mm radiator in here. Another thing I really liked is building in the Sky 2 was a breeze. Everything is modular. You can take all the panels off. I was able to take the side glass off, the front glass, the top panel here. You can take these mesh side panels off. The front mesh panel can come off too. So it gave me a full 90-degree view of this thing that I could work with. The only thing that this couldn't do is the top section wasn't able to completely release for me to put my radiator on it and then put it back into the case. But honestly, it didn't really bother me at all. The last thing that I really liked is Montech's attention to detail in the Sky 2. All of the screws in the case are silver. Even the thumb screws that hold the side glass on, the screws that hold the fans on, everything is silver. It makes it look really premium, especially for this white design aesthetic. And it's not a cheap case material either. I mean, you can't scratch the white off of it. It's not a paint. Well, it might be a paint, I don't know. But it's definitely durable, definitely feels great. And all the mesh and stuff like that really gives you great airflow with it. I do have one small note, Montech. If you're gonna include the silver screws and everything, for the motherboard screws specifically, I would do black screws instead of silver. I started using the silver ones. Even the white motherboard that I've got has black hole inserts. I guess they expect you to have black screws. So the silver screws really stood out to me and it kind of clashed with the motherboard. So I used my own black screws that I had on hand instead of the silver ones that came with the case. Just a thought. I love seeing these companies innovate with their PC cases. We ask them to develop and come up with new ideas and stuff, but then we get upset when they try something new and it doesn't work out the way we want it to. So I think Montech has really hit it out of the park with the Sky 2. They've innovated, they've changed things around a little bit, and the airflow is great and it looks awesome. But it's not without its negatives. There's just a few. First, there's not enough space behind the motherboard tray, at least not when you add all the RGB and fans, cable extensions, and the AIO cables. Secondly, the power supply area is pretty tight. There's little clearance between the top of the power supply and the basement shroud. Third, the entire cable management area could be a little bit bigger. I haven't had to lay a PC case on its side to close the back panel in a long time. Okay, so the negatives looked a lot worse than they are because you can wrap all three things that I wanted to improve on into one thing: space. I see what they were doing. They wanted to be able to make it so that you could fit new components, which are humongous, by the way, into the build area of the case. But of course, that's going to come with a cost. It takes away from your cable management. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have enough cable management. I would just like a little bit more space to be able to shove those cables in there when you're talking about custom cable extensions, fan headers, RGB headers. You know, there's a lot of cables. Oh, my last issue with the case is the power indicator light on the top of the case is blue. And when you have the fan set to white, it's really noticeable. On RGB mode, it's really not that noticeable. I think you might be able to see it on the screen there. But when you have it set to just white, which I did for the build video of this, the blue was a little noticeable. So I would like the option to be able to turn it off. And the bad part is I can't just unplug it by itself because the front panel connector is just one big connector, which we've been asking for years, but now that you have it, you can't unplug individual plugs. The Montech Sky 2 should be a serious consideration if you're shopping for a case in the $100 price range. For that cost, they give you directed airflow, 4 RGB fans with a controller, and a complete 90-degree tempered glass view. Do you see why I'm so excited? Montech really has something here. The Corsair 4000D only comes with 2 fans, and they aren't even RGB. And the 011 Dynamic doesn't come with any fans, and it costs $50 more than the Sky 2. Also, do yourself a favor and use the included fans. You're paying for them, why not? Plus, they're great. They're PWM controlled and have a nice RGB lit ring. The only thing I did was add another one. They only cost $11, much less than their competitors. If I helped you with your case buying decision today, I left affiliate links down below for the Sky 2. They don't cost you anything extra, and they help out the channel for me to continue making these videos that you love. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. You have no idea how much work goes into these. Unless you're a creator yourself, then you feel me. Until next time, I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
We're like Alpha and Omega. Whatever happens doesn't matter. I know we can sort it out.